Hey, hello, leavers and believers, and welcome to Leaving Hillsong. You are in for a special treat today. We have had quite an interesting turn of events on the 9th of March last week. A whistleblower's report amongst around 18,000 other documents was tabled in Parliament using parliamentary privilege by an MP, a member of Parliament here in Australia called Andrew Wilkie. And this report has made some very, very serious allegations with a whole bunch of evidence coming out to support that. And so really the level of spending and just self-indulgent reveling up there at the trough of just unlimited cash and power has been just magnificent to just incredible. And so, whenever there's a situation of such great calamity, it's gives you concerns that surpass all understanding. You just got to laugh. So anyway, we were up late the other night. Well, I was up late. Laura was up late. And Draps was in the UK somewhere in the morning, and we decided to just go through this report. So if you don't already have a copy, please go to the Leaving Hillsong Instagram or Facebook. There is a post there with a big whistle on it. There's a link. The link is in the bio of Insta so that everybody can get a copy. And what you're about to take part in is like, just pretend that we're all, it's like if we were all sitting around just having a flick through this report and just marveling at the excesses and the arrogance and the absolute corruption that you would have to be involved in order for this to take place. And it's just out of this world. So if you don't think this is very funny, now would be a good time to maybe change a channel, phone a friend, something like that. But we just, wow, it's just, get your copy of your report. Get like a lot of snacks because it's a long chat. This is one you're going to listen to while you're cleaning the house, or, I don't know, sitting around with friends, who knows. But my goodness me. Here's the Whistleblower's report. With me, Tanya, Laura Hamilton, and Matthew Drapper, we call Draps. Don't say you weren't warned. Right, so
Shall we begin? Shall we just begin again, darling?
like the Taylor Swift song?
Let's. Let's.
Was it a Wednesday in a cafe? Okay.
Let's just jump right in.
So a whistleblower disclosure statement says there's a significant improper state of affairs within the entire Hillsong Church Australia group, including serious financial and governance misconduct that contravenes and abuses Australia's Corporations Act, Taxation Act and Charities Act, and which represents a danger to the Australian public and the Australian financial system. And I mean, it's like this wonderful opening to this movie because the directors, trustees,
these must be like the scrolling titles that you get at the beginning of a Star Wars movie.
Well, okay, I mean, it's seriously seems like science fiction that the directors, trustees and public officers of the Hillsong Church Australia Group have engaged in the following types of misconduct, and it's just a lucky dip of fraud, improperly using their positions to gain a personal advantage for themselves, their families and friends, not making decisions for a proper purpose, not exercising their powers with due care and diligence, on breaching and or deliberately circumventing Australian charity legislation, domestic and international money laundering. Note this does not include proceeds of crime, which, I mean, I told you the Crimes Commission should just walk in and strip that closet, baby. Closet. Moving unreasonably large amounts of Australian tax-exempt income overseas to fund the operations of both Hillsong and non-Hillsong churches in other countries. This is all kind of tax-exempt income that they're using to do these things as well. So breaching Australian legislation pertaining to trusts, ancillary funds, registered cultural organisations and public benevolent institutions, making false, misleading and deceptive statements for the purpose of soliciting money from the public using tax-deductible income for purposes which legislation does not deem to be tax-deductible. Financial misrepresentation for the purpose of receiving JobKeeper grants, which were the pandemic grants that were given out, to businesses to stay afloat. Significant conflicts of interest, which has been an issue prior. Now, these are the opening credits here. So this stunning extravaganza stars, first of all, the Chief Financial Officer, Peter Ridley. I mean, do you guys want to read out the cast and crew, or all join in on me? Go.
I mean, this is quite an opening statement. The directors and trustees and public officials of Hillsong Church Australia Group have engaged in the following types of misconduct: fraud.
I love that.
I mean, that is an opening right there.
Yeah, that's a good start. It's just all right. So I guess, Laura, these names won't mean so much to you, I guess. So Peter Ridley
means a little bit to me.
Peter Ridley is the Chief Financial Officer, and he has been doing Brian's personal taxes as well as the company taxes, and he's still hanging out with Brian even though he has not. Do you know what I mean? Like when the Chief Financial Officer is going on Harley Davidson bike rides with the former guy that got, anyway, I'll stop
just
you.
a couple of mates, couple of guys.
Just a couple of mates, do you know what I mean? Out on a Saturday. Yeah. Just to relieving some stress, or, self-care. Self-care is what this is really all about. Now, this Tim Wincop, do you know him?
I've not heard of him.
Laura, I'm talking to Laura's going to know these names a little bit more. Like,
no, Tim Wincop never invited me over for dinner.
You went to Ridley's, didn't you? Ridley's, believe it or not.
Yes, we did, in Brian and Bobby's former home.
It's nice. That's really nice.
Did I say
Do
that?
they have pictures on the wall, like Mal or something on the wall? Is it like that? Okay, so Tim Wincop is their in-house legal counsel. But right here down, like, the third name is George Agajanian. Everybody will be excited to see that name on the list. He's the business manager and a smiling assassin of the whole place. And then, these are the people that are being accused of these. These are the people that are being accused of these certain financial things. All right, Philip Dooley, Darren Kiddo, he's Brian's mate. Peter, he doesn't usually get to see his full name in print, does he? No one gives him that much respect. Peter talking out of the value. This is Brian's son-in-law.
He was responsible for the skateboards, the $80,000 on skateboards. That sounds like a youth pastor thing to do.
Don't jump ahead with excitement here. Don't give away all those spoilers. All right, so basically you've got Brian, his new replacement, his old mate Darren, his son-in-law Peter, his son Ben, his old mate Gary Clark from London, Grant Thompson from my youth group there, who was very helpful to Brian. Joel Bell, the old Cassius, spent 20 years as Brian's second in command and walked away. But guess what? You can run, but you can't get away from Andrew Wilkie. So Lee Burns was the college manager. See, he's making a little bit of a cameo here. George is named again. There's Joel.
Oh, darling Joel.
Yeah, so don't know how he's necessarily going to be able to answer to this. Joel and Ben both live in the United States. David Bageri, something to do with their new music-y thingy. You know, some of the old directors of the board, present and past. Amanda Tay, Jane Gamrell. I mean, this is just all the names. It's like, I don't know, like it's like all the seasons of the whole show. Everyone that's ever been on. Don Cooper Williams, Melinda Dwight. Oh, shut up, Sam. Lee Howard Smith, Navi Saleh. Everyone's been wondering where Navi's been hanging out. You know, he hasn't. Even a Denton. They've even thrown a Denton in here for good luck, like a Bailey. You know what I mean? Like just on top. And good old Stephen Crouch, hey? And he's a doctor of accountancy, as we've discussed before, which makes one wonder, given that he's the chairman of the board, the global board. He didn't know that. So we're still going on with more Peter, more George, more Nabi, a bit of Darren, a bit of Brian, a bit of Bobby, a bit of Laura, Peter, and Kent Medwin. Just to finish things off. So pretty much everyone in Brian's family, apart from his two daughters-in-law, are on the list. Wow. This is the whole mob. And by
this
mob,
is the special. It's like a final episode of a TV series when they all come back together.
And you just think, oh, the writers have just overdone it now. Mm-hmm. You know. How do you guys want to do it? I mean, you know, like I said, there's so much, but I mean, we were just kind of picking.
I mean, obviously, we're not accusing these people of anything. This is the whistleblower's statement.
This is the whistleblower's allegations, but you know.
And is the whistleblower our queen?
See, and I don't know where we stand with that. So what's happened is it has been lodged in the Parliament as the whistleblower, so that the whistleblower's identity will forever be suppressed.
Right, so we shan't say it's from the Queen then.
However, the Queen's husband has been making multiple videos on YouTube about this.
So tell me, what does it mean if something is presented in the Federation Chamber at 12:40 p.m. on the 9th of March from Mr. Wilkie? What does that mean? What's he done? Why has he done it?
He's had these documents for some time. Been waiting for the time is right, but he used parliamentary privilege. Who wants to explain that one? Because I'm already tired of myself. He used parliamentary privilege to do this because you can't just turn up in our parliament and just say whatever you like. You know, it can be defamatory, but there's a special little loophole where you can go, well, like, no, like we have to tell you this, even if it's going to, you know, look bad. And yeah, he used that privilege. Privilege isn't always a bad thing.
I'm glad that I'm here for this. I feel like it's an international incident as well, because they've dragged Europe in, they've dragged worldwide.
Absolutely.
America looks like it's heavily implicated.
I mean, I really am wondering why the Americans haven't picked this up, and it could be because, like, they're a quarter of the American population is evangelical.
The thing is here that the Inland Revenue Service in the USA are blocked from conducting thorough investigations into Hillsong, and the AC and NEC, or whatever it is, the Australian Charities Not-for-Profit Commission, do not have the legislative power, resources, or holistic insight required to fully uncover Hillsong's misconduct and bring them to full account. So I think it says the Australian legislation, as it stands, allows basic religious charities to operate under a veil of secrecy, where they do not need financials visible to the public or the ACNC, because the majority of Hillsong's wrongdoing is conducted within its BRC entities. The ACNC cannot request nor investigate the financials or governance particulars of these entities.
What does that mean?
So I think because they are not just any old charity, they are a religious charity. I guess it's called Basic.
Yeah, a basic religious charity that doesn't have to disclose. Yeah.
They don't have to disclose. Australian legislation allows small charities to not publicly report their financials. The charity size is determined by annual income, not assets. A substantial amount of Hillsong's assets are held in property entities that do not earn income and are therefore deemed small charities. So they kind of, you've said this before when you were talking with our good friend about how they split the company up so they don't have to declare as much.
Oh, yes, exactly. I think the limit, I think it's $80,000 for the basic religious charities. If that's all they're bringing in or something, then yeah, I'll have to.
So that's not one of their incomes.
So what you do is you just open a whole different bunch of basic religious charities or something, and then you don't have to tell anyone anything. Good employment matter. Look at that. Okay. All right. Well, let's see what these kids have.
The few pages are all just about these details, why they've not been.
Yeah. No, we want to get to the good stuff. Okay. So, sorry. Laura, does anything?
I just love the term basic religious charities.
Why?
I don't know. I just
like basic bitch, that kind of thing. Like, oh, you're such a basic charity.
I'm a basic bitch. I admit it.
We don't get any loopholes. All right, now let's have a look. Like, it's just so there's a kind of like. I mean, okay, I'm gonna pick a number, any number, and I think that's what we need to do. I'm gonna jump into come on. Do you want to have a look at? Oh, is that Ben Fielding, Laura? 21. Does that mean anything? Do the Fieldings mean anything to you?
Oh,
sorry, you go.
All I know is maybe I'm bullshitting here, but wasn't Ben Fielding something to do with music?
Yeah. Okay. So jump to 21. That's exactly right. Because I don't know. I'm sorry. What are you doing? You're eating a carrot for right now. Sound like Mr. Ed. Wow.
Sorry, 21.
Mr. Ed reference.
So you're sorry, page 21 of this.
Sorry, no, number 21, sentence 21.
Oh God, okay. Sorry.
Let me have a look. Sorry, start at number 20.
Item 21.
Well, 20 is quite interesting. This is the word.
Oh, this is wow. Okay. This is an interesting one.
Hmm.
Laura, do you want to read it?
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Item 20. In December 2021, Hillsong had its music catalogue, the ownership of which was previously secretly transferred from Hillsong Australia to an offshore Hillsong entity outside of Australia, valued at between $120 million to $150 million. For the purpose of selling it. It is unclear if the Australian public will benefit in any way from the sale of this catalogue, which was created with Australian tax-exempt income over many years, or whether this income will be invested into Hillsong's new for-profit entity, Invorto, and in brackets it says IO.
I reckon it's pretty clear that the Australian public's not going to benefit. But yeah, go ahead.
So Hillsong also secretly transferred the Hillsong Australia music catalogue to an offshore Hillsong entity. When? What was this?
December 2021, very recently, quite recently.
Yeah, okay.
Sort of follow along the bouncing ball if you can. Yeah, sorry.
Darling, what?
Well, 21. And so go on to 21. It's going to be an editing nightmare.
Who's reading 21?
Don't shoot. I mean, This is so fun. It's like, yeah, I wish we had the whole class.
Because this is a question I wrote down. What is Invorto? There's a proprietary limited and an LLC that Joel Houston is the CEO of. So item 21 says Invorto is a group of for-profit entities domiciled in both the USA and Australia. In Australia, Hillsong International is the sole member for Invoto. Despite IO being a for-profit company, many of its staff are employed by Hillsong International as pastors, such as Ben Field, and as such receive tax-exempt income.
Isn't that fantastic?
They were doing a recruitment drive in Australia mid-year last year, I happened to notice.
In Vorto, did you apply?
No, I was just interested to know what they were going to be doing with all of their, their film archive or their video archives and stuff like that. And my search turned up, this job ad that they'd posted, and it was based at Balcombe Hills in Sydney. They wanted video editors. And for about 5 seconds, I thought, maybe I could apply, but I don't think they want me.
But do you know what I mean? I don't know.
This is the brainchild of Brian Houston's son, Joel Houston, and his best friend, David Bagari.
Yes.
Both are now co-CEOs of Invoto Australia and managers. And it said, if somebody other than Joel Houston had brought the same business proposal requiring a £3 million investment to the Hillsong board in the midst of a global pandemic, it's unclear if it would have been approved. So they're saying this is a Nepo baby situation.
I think it's quite clear. Mm-hmm.
I love that one. I feel like there's some juicy info there. And also right above it in 19, it says that Hillsong International uses tax-free income to organize and host songwriter retreats, uses tax-exempt income to market its worship music, and this has made many Hillsong musicians very wealthy from music royalties. Not the musicians that we have on to Leaving Hillsong, but others.
No, that's right. Yes. So, I think it could be called Nepo Song. I think that would be... So
I found
that's nice.
A Graham sighting in 61. We do love a bit of Graham.
Oh my God, the Graham trip comes out in paragraph 61, where Brian took Graham around the world on the first class trip and spent 20 grand on his brother's first class trip in Europe. Okay, but I'm jumping ahead with excitement. There's a list of right, we're not going to go through this whole thing really, but people can read it themselves. We're just here to have a bit of a laugh and a point.
It says here in number 65 that Brian and Bobby may have double dipped for the sale of their properties to LMI 20 years earlier. First, they received income from selling the properties to LMI at full market value, and then when LMI sold the properties at a significantly higher price years later and donated the capital gains tax-free profits to Shiloh Ministry. Brian and Bobby can now continue to receive a salary from Shiloh, 1.8 million cash assets until the cash runs out. They sold their property twice, which is fantastic if you can do it.
Yeah, yes. That's do you remember when she had Baby Closet and you got to buy, you got to pay them twice for stuff? So
double card.
I'm so sad that Baby Closet's gone.
Is it I'm sure there's... Yeah,
I'm blocked.
What did you do to get blocked?
I may have sniggered at the wrinkled shirts too many times. I didn't react to them. I didn't do anything. I just I can't find it anymore, and I want to see that leg again, and I can't find it.
I've actually got that comedy. Yes, that's fantastic. Hang on, let's just have a look at, because I think it's I think Brian gets a 5% on all the churches. Do you remember when Vera Kasevich said in the Ukraine, Vera and
we found that, but where was it? It was somewhere.
Do you remember when the Kaseviches said that all churches were, giving 5%?
Yeah, I remember.
Brian, tab 67 shows the 5% tithes contributions from each global church in the 2022 budget. It's not clear if the congregation members who tithe to these Hillsong churches in global locations such as London, Netherlands, Spain and France, etc., know or understand that the sacrificial gifts they make to their local church are being used to run both operations of Hillsong Global. Goodness, this is, including luxury board retreats, other luxury travel, as well as operational deficits and startup costs of new Hillsong church plants. This is a pyramid. This is a pyramid scheme in other global locations such as Monterey, Atlanta, Dallas, and Israel.
It looks like they might have triple dipped on that purchase of that property because they founded Brian and Bobby had a personal charity in Australia called Leadership Ministries Inc. LMI.
LMI is the old, they used to funnel everything through. Sorry. They used to funnel everything through LMI. Everything. That's from, way back. Yeah.
LMI purchased 2 properties owned personally by Brian and Bobby Houston at market rate, with proceeds from the sale going directly to Brian and Bobby personally. Which is, that's like a triple buy, because that's then the same properties they then sold back to themselves again to make more money from again. I don't know where's the money gone. Why is it gone? Why are they spending it on?
Well, I just want to know why they needed the $66,000. Why did they need $66,000 from the, the contents of that closet, which was added up to date? Can we
want to talk? Sorry.
Go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, do we want to speculate yet? I have some ideas, but I don't know if I should say. No, well, I just think if you were going to be moving somewhere else, wouldn't it just be easier to get rid of all your stuff and start again?
Yeah, sure.
That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Would you take a photo of everything you own and upload it for the world to see? Or
do we know anyone who's bought anything?
Yes, actually, I won't name the item because it could give their identity away. But yes, and
I wonder if the item brought a blessing to their home.
Oh well, actually, it's actually a very nice item. It's a piece of furniture, and from what I understand, they weren't Brian and Bobby weren't actually whoever was organizing that sale, they were kind of minimizing the price because they don't even really want you to know that they actually paid much, much more for that stuff than what they're calling the retail price. So because they're a little bit embarrassed. Or something, I don't know, maybe, who knows, they just pick any number.
It's loads of paragraphs which are all individually numbered, and they all just are full of scandalous drama, basically, to do with money. It's kind of mismatched. It's kind of there's a lot of stuff in a lot of places, but I assume it's all backed up by documentation.
Well, yes, there's going to be. That's where I think all these tabs and stuff. Yeah, the supporting documentation. I was told if you enjoy this, the supporting documents are going to make it Christmas every day of the year. There's a lot of bad news contained in here not for us. Australia, pick a number, any number, 56.
56. Scrolling.
Are you looking at tab 56 or item 56?
Sorry. Yeah, I was just looking down. They paid for New York. That one. Excuse me. Oh dear, the editing. No, it's just a nice, one day they decided to go to America.
Which apparently was Joel Houston's idea, or was that New York was Joel Houston's idea? I just read that somewhere. Him and Carl.
It was Joel's dream.
They were buddies.
Yeah, they all went there. All right, so have a look at
23 talks about that. Oh. Joel's dream of starting Hillsong New York.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it?
Go now.
Well, it goes, if someone other, have you read this already? It says if someone other than Joel, you have?
But I didn't pick up on the New York stuff.
Oh.
I quite like the way it's been worded. It says if someone other than Joel Houston had brought the same business proposal requiring a $3 million investment to the Hillsong board in the midst of a global pandemic, it's unclear if it would have been approved. You read that before, didn't you?
Yeah, but then there's more in there about the New York as well.
Yeah.
Before, if you want to read that.
So the board had previously approved Joel's dream of starting a Hillsong campus in New York in 2011 with his best friend at the time, Carl Lentz. Are they still best friends?
Apparently not. And yeah. Yeah, that's not okay.
So I like that they threw that in at the time.
It's like, yeah, it's funny. They put these little cute details, and I love that for them.
Oh,
there's one detail that says they bought a printer for Graham's apartment, and that just makes me so happy because I'm like, why should Graham not have a printer bought for him? Come on.
Where does it say that? Where does Graham get one?
I think it was 60 something. Oh, it really cracked me up.
Because Graham is Brian's older brother, and anyone who's read Being Frank.
Graham is my favorite from Being Frank. This is why I have such a love for Graham, because Graham in Being Frank is like, he steals the bike and then blames it on Brian, and Brian's like, it was me, and Graham's like, no, I stole the bike, and Brian's like, no, it was me. I've had such a love for him since, and remember, didn't he get sick, and his dad was like, stay inside, and there was a lot of poor Graham. But anyway, lucky for Graham, Hillsong seemingly paid for a new printer for the Bondi apartment owned by Brian and Bobby's personal charity. But this is in the Graham Houston bit, so I'm assuming it's Graham. I don't know.
Graham doesn't get a printer. He doesn't get a printer. He just gets a trip around the world, if you have a look at.
Poor Graham, he doesn't even get a printer.
So number 61, perhaps, if you would like to read that, one of you.
This is Graham, so I'm going to take it. Hillsong paid Brian's travel expenses for his There Is More book promotion tour, from which Brian personally received the royalties for book sales. So Hillsong paid for the travel expenses, but Brian received the royalties. In 2020, Hillsong funded Brian's brother, Graham Houston, to accompany Brian on a trip to Turkey, South Africa, and Europe, including per diem, at a total cost close to $20,000. Amazing, I love it.
I think that's a fair price for an international trip.
I mean, I released my book, my second book, plug, and I did a Zoom, which I think, I don't know, didn't cost quite as much as that.
Look,
and then it throws in the bit about the printer at the end.
Which is good.
And if you go to one tab above, then you've got Bobby Houston. She's having a wonderful time. So we're talking about private benefit enjoyed by Brian and Bobby Houston during their reign at Hillsong, which I quite enjoy. Virtually every aspect of Brian and Bobby's lives are funded by Hillsong. Donations to the ministries of their friends, flowers and gifts to hand-picked friends, thousands of dollars in makeup for Bobby. Does she need thousands of dollars in makeup?
That's not very nice.
Entertaining family and friends. And then, for me, this is a big one. Soho House membership of 4.7 thousand. This is presumably for the New York Soho House.
Okay, do you want to talk to that? Do you want to?
So Soho House is this super exclusive club, members only club in New York and around the world, where you can basically have to pay a membership of nearly $5,000 a year to go use the pool, the rooftop pool, go to the bars, go to the restaurant, and you're basically just paying to access. And this is where all the Gossip Girl characters go all the time. And I looked this morning, and yes, you can apply and you can get in. It's like 5,000 for the first, no, nearly 6,000 for the first year and 5,000 for the subsequent years. So I'm thinking maybe I'll try and get access.
Is it the kind of place that they want pastors' wives to go who are 65 though?
So if you're applying to go and join Soho House, then if you are younger than 27, you pay half price.
Yeah, okay, so that's a bit of a sign.
But is
and
that
if you're
just because younger people are generally not quite as wealthy? Is that
Well, I
like
think-
getting a concession?
Maybe it is. I mean, they don't seem like the kind of place that would offer concessions. Like
I think it's
normally
more
they-
like a swingers club. Do you know what I mean? Where like women don't have to pay, but men do, or something.
I think, it's supposed to be a cool, really cool, trendy club. And obviously you want cool, trendy people there. So no offense to anybody who's over 27, but the Soho House is like, you better pay if you want to play.
Hang
So
on,
pay
what's
for
a
it.
medical? Excuse me, what's a medical concierge service in the USA that comes right after Soho? I wonder if that's a coincidence. You go to Soho, need the medical concierge.
Is that like, is that like a Botox situation? Or
Well, actually, one of them is so a personal care physician in the USA, life insurance with MLC for $29K for Brian and $34 for Bobby, personal security. Excessive costs for Bobby to have her executive assistant, Laurie Scott. Hi, Laurie. Your life changed yesterday, didn't it?
was she the handbag carrier at the time?
No, and this is what I want to know about, like, how does Yolanda feel about this?
Because she only got wrinkled shirts, but the others got like travel around the world. Soho House. You can bring 3 friends to Soho House if you remember. So, maybe she got in. We don't know.
Doesn't look like it. She hasn't been named in the opening credits, which is sort of bigger than Ben-Hur, really, isn't it? So, cast and crew of thousands, and I think there will be hundreds of people implicated in this, which is a lot to look forward to.
I saw somebody in here called Cash. Can I search it by
Will
words?
anyone know Cash or Luna?
Cash, Luna.
Now I love this, Laura. Please, if you would, number 64.
64.
I just please drop the two.
You got me all excited with your preface there. Here we go. In 2020, the Bondi property was no longer used as a manse or spiritual retreat. Okay. Oh.
It was instead rented as an Airbnb.
Oh my God. Okay. The 2 purposes the ATO had previously approved for their use, a manse or spiritual retreat, and was instead rented as an Airbnb with an annual income of approximately $50,000.
Which is one day in Cancun, but we'll get to that later.
An annual salary for many people for junior video editor. In March 20. Sorry.
Is it still available on Airbnb? Can we book? Can we book in?
We could have a spiritual retreat.
Please. I'm ready for a spiritual retreat on Bondi Beach. I'm ready.
Oh, if only.
I'm sorry.
March
I know.
2021, my unit was sold with all profits being received to LMI, so back to LMI before they created. And
so
then
LMI has been a friend, for them. So
no, that's okay. No, so in March 2021, the Bondi unit was sold with all profits being receipted to LMI's bank account. At this point, LMI had cash in the bank totaling over $1.8 million. In April 2021, LMI quote unquote donated $500,000 to Shiloh Ministries, and in May 2021, it donated a further $1.3 million to Shiloh. LMI was then closed.
And guess who opened Shiloh?
Could it have been Bobby? It's B&B. Maybe it's like Airbnb, Brian and Bobby.
You know how you have those people like and like they bought the Amityville Horror House, and they didn't know, and like that kind of thing. Like, do you think the people on Airbnb should have been warned? You know what I mean? Like, what if you turned up and you were like, oh, I thought it was a normal house. I didn't realize it was a man.
It's a man.
Now, this is the first I'm hearing about Shiloh. I knew about LMI because I'm not kidding. I got lost out in the Hills District once as a newly licensed P-plater, and I pulled into a car park, and I'm trying to figure out where I am. This is like pre-smartphone, being able to afford a GPS or anything like that. And I look up, and I'm in the car park of this strip mall where, like, most of it, like 2/3 of this strip mall, are taken out by this organization called Leadership Ministries Incorporated.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that has got to be something to do with Hillsong. So I Googled it later on when I got home. And yeah, like you needed a login to see anything.
I just want to know why they've named their ministry after one of like Brad and Angelina's children.
I would like to believe it's named after the 90s children's movie about a Jack Russell. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, didn't he like play baseball in one of the episodes? One of the movies?
Yeah, he was owned by a cruel farmer who didn't give him a name, and this boy, he was like, his name is Shiloh.
Oh, I remember from the trailers.
That's fantastic. Okay, so now, all right. What do you mean the party loan? All right, sorry. This is all really cute about Festival Hall. When they bought Festival Hall in Melbourne down there at 74, they just kind of lent themselves some money in places. All right, might leave that out. What do you see next that grabs your eye, anyone?
I've got something right down at the bottom. So in the hundreds, we've got a lot of examples of what they told the public while they were doing their private stuff behind the back of the fence. So number 147 says, the key catchphrase used by Hillsong every year for the Hillsong Foundation's primary fundraising campaign, Heart for the House, is, it's not about equal giving, but equal sacrifice.
Oh, that's right.
Sadly, says the whistleblower, it seems that the congregation members are the only ones making sacrifices, as Hillsong does not seem to be making any.
Gosh.
This is especially true when we see how much these funds, which are sacrificially donated, are grossly misspent by Hillsong on travel by private jets in the first and business class travel, luxury hotels, meals at some of the world's finest restaurants, and designer gifts.
And I have to say, so I spoke to a pastor's kid earlier today who was like, hang on, aren't these people supposed to be like shepherds? They're supposed to be like standing behind the sheep and kind of helping them along, not being like, ooh, I don't want to sit next to one on a commercial jet.
Sorry. I've just seen something here about a police officer who called Brian Houston an ungrateful twat.
Where?
Had you not heard that before? So because
What?
so what happened was during the pandemic, when everybody else was locked down and like not allowed to, be with their loved ones and stuff while they died, Brian was traveling. He was on. You were allowed to leave the country of Australia on emergency business.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what I mean? If your business was going to collapse overseas and you absolutely had to leave the country, or if you're Brian and you just wanted to go see your friends. So he went around to he didn't even go to his own church. He went to Casey Treat's church in Seattle and went down to Texas, see Rick Godwin, stopped by a bit of Mexico. By the time he finally got back in Australia, the police commissioner here was
Elliot.
thought he'd really just take
So
the
it says here that at the time they gave the impression that Brian and Bobby posted on Instagram they had traveled to Mexico to speak at Hillsong's Mexico campus. They got special permission to leave Australia for a trip to Mexico. This is what the Daily Mail reported in July 2021. What was not disclosed is that immediately prior to attending Hillsong Mexico, they traveled to a luxury resort in Cancun, Mexico, along with their sons, Joel and Ben. Best friends.
Are they named? I didn't realize. Sorry, hang on. Joel and Wesley, what number are you on, please?
This is it, 150. We have the
Oh.
holiday. Holiday details are here, darling. And here's who came. So they
Oh.
brought their sons, Joel and Ben,
Mm.
best friends, Gary and Kathy Clark, Brian's
Nice.
right hand, Darren Kitto, Darren's daughter, Bethany, and Joel's best friend, David Bugari. Plus,
Fascinating.
who?
I don't know, but she got to go to Wow, I see. So was that the Cancun holiday?
The Cancun holiday for a 2-day global strategy retreat with all expenses paid by Hillsong at a total cost close to $100K.
That's so nice. $50,000 a day.
And when they returned, this was during lockdown, while Australia was in lockdown. So then it says about the New South Wales Police, David Elliott, called Brian Houston an ungrateful twat for leaving Australia when the country was in lockdown. He
This
didn't
is
even know
true.
about the trip to the resort in Cancun, Mexico at the time.
No, yeah,
they
he
got
didn't know how ungrateful he was. Yeah. Sorry.
That's a throwback. I forgot about that.
Ungrateful twat, yeah. And those are the words of a man with emotions. Do you know what I mean? Who's hang on.
It looks like when they came back, I think, although it says in 2020, but I think it may mean in 2021, when Bobby and Brian graciously accepted a hotel quarantine room upgrade upon arriving to Australia after several months in the USA. No, this is a different time. So I think during lockdown, if you came back, you had to go and stay in a government quarantine room in a hotel. It says they did not disclose that tithe incomes from the Hillsong congregation paid for their upgrade at a cost of £5,389. That's it. I thought that was more interesting than it was, but it wasn't. Well,
yeah,
I suppose it
no,
is. I mean, these tithers, how much do you think an average person is tithing, and yet they're spending £5,000 to upgrade their hotel room during a quarantine?
Yeah, it's just that kind of like everywhere we go, we can have whatever we want attitude. Cleaning. Yes. All right. So
Grocery shopping. Ensure that the Houston residents is adequately stocked with various grocery items as required from week to week. Darling,
That
it's all very
nice.
it's all quite sickening, isn't it?
It just makes me think, like, as I was leaving college and moving back home to Melbourne, I was just thinking they could be doing anything with their tithe and offering money. You know, they could be laundering
can we
it.
just look? Oh, sorry. I just 157, Laura, please. Just jump right on.
I actually wrote that down. So 157.
Because this is getting a little bit, isn't it?
So tab 109 also demonstrates that Brian Houston essentially made up a new, highly paid but less stressful role for his son, Ben Houston, and Ben's wife, Lucille, following Ben's breakdown a couple of years earlier, where he had to take a sabbatical from his role as senior pastor of Hillsong LA and eventually resign. Not bad pay for Lucille, who was supposedly homeschooling her 4 children at the same time. Is that an opinion or a...
There is a little bit of subjectivity running through this. So Brian and Bobby's daughter, Laura, is the only Hillsong staff member for whom Hillsong employs a family assistant nanny on staff.
Mary Poppins there. I think, obviously we're not laughing at Ben's having a breakdown, but I just think it is interesting that they created a new, less stressful role for Ben at the church.
That's lovely. I think that's really lovely. That because Hillsong is an organization that cares about their employees' mental health, supports them, and a holistic approach to family care. Let's have a little look at these flights that have been so kindly. Oh, hang on. What about the songwriter stuff? Maybe what do we got?
We have to dive a little bit into Phil and Laura Dooley because they are
Lucinda. Sorry, darling. What?
Phil Dooley, Lucinda Dooley. Who are these people?
Yes. So that's the wonderful part about Phil and Lucinda Dooley is that they are the change we want to see in the Hillsong, apparently, or they were going to be. They're like, hi, we're new, and we're not like those people. So it seems that they're 150% like those people.
Well, do you want to drop down to to paragraph 166, and we can have a little scroll through Phil's passport and see what he's been up to on the 17th of March 2022.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit upset because Lucinda was up my youth group, and like she used to give me lifts to youth sometimes on a Saturday night, and I didn't expect this from you, Lucinda.
But also, did she give you lifts in a car or in her private jet?
No, this was like, you know, when everyone was 19 and stuff. There was none of this. She's a very sweet girl, and I'm disappointed, to say the least. That's all.
So yeah, so basically going all the way through 2022, we've got flights to San Francisco to Sydney.
Well, hang
16...
on, darling. Why don't read number? I think if you could read number 166 or somebody, please. It's a lovely sentence.
Laura, do you want to, or?
You go ahead.
Okay, I will.
I feel like I'm hogging it.
Okay.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. I don't know. All right.
As a long-term board member, the current Hillsong Global Senior Pastor and Brian Houston's replacement, Phil Dooley, has been party to all of this misconduct. He has been involved in this self-indulgent spending and private benefit, and still is. Not only does Lucinda Dooley also fly around the world business class, but Hillsong additionally pays to fly Phil and Lucinda's children around the world and not in economy. Just this year, the Dooley family has charged the following travel to Hillsong Australia, with amounts also probably charged to Hillsong South Africa. Probably. Overseas accommodation, high-class restaurant meals are additional as they're paid for on their corporate credit cards. So then we've got 16,700 San Francisco to Sydney in the same year, 2,000 for Bella, San Francisco to Miami, 22,000 for Lucinda, Cape Town to Miami to Monterrey, Mexico, 42,000 for Phil, Sydney to Miami to Monterrey, Mexico, 12,900 London to Athens for a pastor's retreat, could be nice, 25,000 Cape Town to Sydney. Going down, we got 32,000 Cape Town to Sacramento, 43,000 Sydney to Guatemala, 9,000 for Phil's best mate to travel Sydney to Guatemala. That's interesting that it cost Phil 43 and Sangha was only 9,000. I guess he was in a different class.
Well, what's Sangha doing? Because Sangha...
I reckon Phil was in first class and Sanger was in business.
Yeah. I mean,
you got 43 for Phil, 9,000 for Sanger, and 13,000 for Bella to fly Cape Town to Guatemala to Sydney.
Yeah.
Some of those were returned, so they could be a good value. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, Sanger's was returned. He must have really gone to lastminute.com or something for that special.
It says here, Phil Dooley is flying to Guatemala at an airfare of $44K to speak at the church Casa de Dios of his good friend and spiritual mentor, Cash Luna. Considering that Hillsong does not have a church in Guatemala and spiritual mentoring can be performed over Zoom, it would be surprising if these $44K flights were not being used solely for Phil to earn a personal benefit honorarium for preaching at 2 church services.
No.
Likely to be around 20 to 30K. It's unfathomable why Hillsong is also paying an additional 23K for Phil's daughter Bella and best mate Sanger Scott Samways to accompany him.
Sanger, come on. Sanger deserves a holiday like everyone else, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, these children.
Lucinda, a cash gift of 15,000 from Brian and Bobby, paid for by Hillsong. That's nice. Oh, Phil got a £2,300 watch from Hillsong as a 50th birthday present. It's nice. It's good.
Keep going.
In 2018 and 2019, Hillsong gave Phil and Lucinda £500 cash for their Christmas gift.
Yeah, but Darren Kiddo got a birthday gift, a 50th birthday gift. Here's 10 grand US for you, buddy.
A birthday gift of 10 grand.
Well, do you know what I mean? Like, go buy yourself something nice, like half an hour in Cancun.
Like, no offense to my granny, but we would get like 5 to 10 pounds for our birthday gift.
Laura, come on, 169. Give Laura. Okay, what is it? The celebrities preachers reciprocal honorarium wrought. What? Laura, please read that and we'll cut my voice out.
All right, 169. Over the
No, say
years.
celebrities, say, what does it say?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the celebrity preachers reciprocal honorarium wrought using tax-exempt church income sacrificially donated by the congregation to make the celebrity pastors of mega churches in Australia and overseas mega wealthy. Am I reading 169?
Love it. Yes.
All right. Over the years, Phil Dooley has been a regular and willing participant in the reciprocal preachers circuit, whereby celebrity preachers and worship pastors, such as musicians, earn hefty tax-free honorariums for speaking engagements at both Hillsong and non-Hillsong church campuses and events around the world, all while at the same time being paid a full-time salary from Hillsong for performing a full-time job. For the financial year, July 2019 to June 2020, where one quarter was a write-off due to COVID, Phil earned $70,000 in honorarium income banked into his personal charity, Live the Adventure.
Live the Adventure. What an adventure, sorry. Yes.
I haven't heard of that. Tab 86A shows that this amount partly comprised of tax-free honorariums of $17,500 given to him by Hillsong Australia. He was also provided with tax-free honorariums from other Hillsong global churches and events outside of Australia. In the 2013-14 year, Phil earned $90,000 receipted into Live the Adventure. Ooh. Okay.
Whatever. I don't know how.
It sort of goes on to detail that this honorarium sort of works, it says in here, as a celebrity preacher's scam. So basically, even though they're all being paid by their own churches, their own incomes, they also go to other churches to preach, and then the churches will pay for their flights, their food, give them cash gifts of 10 to 20K just for doing a 30-minute sermon. And it also says that people were able to like buy into the Hillsong Family Club by paying $100,000 per year, which would then enable that pastor to go on retreat with the global senior pastors a couple of times a year, and they would also then join the celebrity preachers circuit scam.
That's kind of prostitution in a way. Like, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, when you're paying to go on a retreat, like, you're not really friends, okay? He doesn't really like you. He likes your $100,000. Sorry, that's all.
I like that it says 170 that Phil was previously a small fry actor in the rort. Small fry Phil. Sorry, Phil.
I mean, I think kind of big fry Lucinda. She's getting around that. Mate, it's so different than she used to take me like from Cherrybrook to Castle Hill, down to the warehouse. She's really left the hills now.
Did you know, and this is in 174, that and this is described by the whistleblower as the most disgusting aspect of the above excessive spending. She says, the whistleblower says, Hillsong promotes child sponsorship organization Compassion International at its conferences and worship tours via on-stage presentations and permitting Compassion to have a display stand at the event, which is understandable. It's nice. It's good that they support child sponsorship organization Compassion International. However, Hillsong does not promote Compassion out of the goodness of their heart. Instead, Hillsong charges Compassion £1 million per year for the privilege of being their child sponsorship partner. Hillsong travel, green room, gift and honorarium expenditure is so extreme that even with the £1 million contribution from Compassion, they still make a loss in their church operations. That sentence is boring, but yeah.
No, sorry, they're running the conference at a loss. So they still make a loss in the operations and conference budgets.
I think that's just a general loss all round, but I think what they're saying is that it looks like they're supporting this organization, but they're actually charging the organization £1 million per year for the privilege.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say that, like, that's the significant disruption that I caused. So, because I got really upset, like, I got really upset about, like, Bobby was like auctioning these kids off, and I just want to know if they're getting kickbacks, like if they can get, 100 kids sponsored at their conference, is that worth that $1 million to Compassion? And is that why Bobby was selling these kids so hard from stage that I was like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the significant disruption that I caused, which has had me banned from the premises, and it's all about compassion. So obviously that was a little bit close to home.
Oh, your original banning from Hillsong.
Yeah, because it was, she was selling these kids so hard from stage, like, hey, Oscar, does anyone want Oscar? Darling, you want Oscar? Congratulations, you got. Oh, it was weird. They're getting kickbacks for kids.
So she was
Sure.
like banging people and auctioning these children.
That's the word I used. And then there was like a bit, you can have him. Like, he's cute, have him. And then there was like, trying to get rid of them at the end. Like, come on, we've still got 5 to get palm off. I don't know. It was vile, right? And that's
wow.
Yeah.
So and Compassion, my understanding is that was either started or jointly started by Martin Smith from Delirious, good friend of Hillsong. That's a bit mean to slap him with $1 million a year.
He's obviously got it. I mean,
what was that?
Just a measly $1 million, that's all.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's big money in these there's big money in it. Little kids and little hungry children and stuff. Like yeah, I always thought Compassion was a Hillsong-y thing, but apparently it's an independent charity or something. They always seem to be intertwined.
If you go back up to the 30s, then there's a really interesting list of what they spend money on compared to what you would expect a church to spend money on. So they spend, for example, 26K.
Sorry, give me a number. Throw me a number.
Let's go 32.
Just hopefully everyone might be able to read along at home as well, if we can, just. It's like pin the tail on the
Pastor.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, surprised they don't grow tails and horns and things. Okay, sorry, yes.
Yeah, so you've got some basic expenses from Hillsong Church Australia 2021 expenditure. You've got 82K for pastors and executive staff allowances. You've got 37K on flowers, 171K on gifts, 13K on a high tea for colour conference, 14K on colour conference VIP lounge gifts. And then this is in comparison. Oh, you've got 22K for Laura Houston's Secret Garden. And then you've got the amount spent on.
Hang on, don't. I think like even jump those giveaways for Father's and Mother's Day were 50 grand, and Easter was 115. And
I mean, is this when we give you like a daffodil from the front of church on Mother's Day? That's what we do here. Did they do something more than that there?
I don't know how high this tea was, but man.
Maybe they got it from Laura Houston's Secret Garden. I don't know. But then this is where it's weird, because it says conversely the amount spent on helping people in need included just 2.9K for pastoral care costs.
No.
And on pastoral care visitations. The welcome to church party for visitors received an installment of just £420.
They really haven't done a very good job here of cooking their books.
That's what I don't understand.
They haven't tried.
37K on flowers. Like, where is that going? Is they're only spending 2.9K on pastoral care? Like, and it also says that despite Hillsong,
hang on, sorry, is that for like the whole church or something? Like,
yeah, that's for Hillsong Church Australia's 2021 expenditure.
I wonder what that's comprised of too.
It also says they only spent 6,000 on volunteer development, despite Hillsong being a church that heavily relies on volunteers to run all its operations. So 37,000 on flowers. In 2021, was the church even open then because of the COVID? And meanwhile, only 6.4 on volunteer development.
Yeah,
How do
but
we feel?
volunteers can volunteer or they're volunteering. Do you know what
A
I mean?
lot of them pay to be there too. So
Yeah. So they should go. I mean, this is going to make for one hell of a Venn diagram, isn't it? So,
I'm just plugging my phone in because it's running out of battery.
yeah. Each global number 43. Each global Hillsong church must pay 5% of their total tithe income to Hillsong Global, which is receipted into either the bank account of Hillsong International or Hillsong Global LLC in the USA. Wow, most of the expensive travel and other excessive expenses are paid from Hillsong Global. And it keeps Hillsong Global also contributes funding to support new global church plants as well as existing global churches struggling financially. So is that pyramid up and down? I don't know. Sorry. Is it?
Oh, I just noticed, where are we? Number 159 talks about Brooke.
Yeah, it's time to talk
Briefly.
about Brooke, I think.
It's time.
I think it's more than time to talk about Brooke. Brooke Fraser is now known. What's her name? Brooke what?
Ledgerwood, but I can never tell if that's just the Kiwi accent and if it's supposed to be Ledgerwood, but I feel like
it's fancy. It's just that she was called Brooke Fraser and she's the daughter of an All Black rugby player, which would have made Brian what is he? What do you think of him? He's like oligarch or something now. It would have made him very happy. She did have an independent music career before that, but then she joined Hillsong and she's just taken like a duck to water, hasn't she?
Yeah, my Connect group leader told me that yeah, she started doing they'd run these special events called something like a night with Brooke Fraser where she'd lead worship. Thank God that's all it was. But then at some point it was announced that she was officially becoming part of the Hillsong worship team and would be a member of the church. And
well,
she was
yeah, sorry, yeah.
Go ahead. Hello?
Yeah.
No. Go. I was gonna say.
Well, no, it's just are you doing the bit where she's got the studio in California?
Yeah, so I don't know a great deal about that, but there's this little behind the scenes documentary on YouTube for the Hillsong Worship Awake album. And yeah, it's this studio in California that Brooke seems to own now. And my favorite part, have you watched it yet?
No, but I don't know.
My favorite thing about it is they're all sort of getting ready to record, and she says something like, "All right, guys, remember we're going for the sound that Toto have in their song Africa," or something like that. Let's go. Remember, guys, we're doing Africa by Toto. Which wow, if they can just I mean, it's a very well produced song. Don't forget that's what we're going for.
Yeah, look, that just rip it off. Rip it right off.
I haven't listened to it, so I don't know if they've got the Africa sound.
Oh, hang on. Hillsong Foundation's combined surplus funds of $15 million from 2019 and 2020 could have been used for any purpose the board agreed on. The funds were not strictly designated to purchase Festival Hall in Melbourne, as stated by Houston. For example, during a worldwide pandemic, this $15 million could have been used to help those in desperate need in developing countries such as via Vision Rescue, World Vision or Compassion. These funds could have been donated to Hillsong City Care to provide welfare services for locals who had lost jobs. What do you mean? Were they not at high tea during the pandemic? The minutes of how were their flowers? How did they afford flowers if they'd lost their jobs? The minutes of Hillsong board meetings do not demonstrate any evidence that a discussion occurred about the best use of that funding of 15 million during a global pandemic. Sorry, back to Brooke. I'm sorry, it's just so hard to keep up with all the cross spending and
It's a rat's nest, this whole thing.
it's a dumpster fire train wreck of
But I just noticed that Brooke is
Sorry,
mentioned
yes.
in 159, and it says tab 109 also demonstrates the excessive salaries provided to the Houston family members and best friends Gary Clark and Darren Kitto, along with Brooke Ledgerwood, née Fraser, who then claim ridiculously high tax-free housing allowances.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends what you call ridiculous.
What's your idea of ridiculously high tax-free housing allowances? I mean, is that
I get, ridiculously high tea. I don't know. Sorry.
I mean, to me, like all of these amount of money, all of these transactions are just outside of my range of understanding. So, when you think about average incomes of people who are there, and then, they're just throwing around like these like double figure £1,000, dollars amounts, just as if they were just like, oh, we just hand out 20k here, 20k there, 10 for this, 10 for that. And you're like, 20k is like, would do almost a full year for me, like, as an income.
Seriously.
for real?
And this is just like a bonus like.
I actually just want to say, like, there's this little bonus. Sorry, there's a little bonus bit of cutie pie stuff in here where the whistleblower has referred to Robert Ferguson as Brian's BFF in 153. Unlike any other Hillsong employee, except Brian's BFF, Robert Ferguson. And that's going to really hurt a lot of people out there who thought they were Brian's BFF. Brian, Bobby, and Joel Houston have all published books for which they personally own the copyright and thus personally receive all the royalties. Yet it is Hillsong that paid to heavily promote the book. There is more.
It looks like there was something going on in 2021 with them receiving lots of government grants for job keepers, and then potentially using that money. Like, I'm not accusing them of doing this. I'm reading what's here.
No, read it out, please. A job keeper was the payment to bail out businesses or to keep them afloat during the pandemic. So. Shoot.
I've been really trying to work out, like the festival hall stuff is a bit complicated, but they bought this big festival hall during that kind of time. And then there's a lot of times where the whistleblower implicates that here in 93, it says, it appears JobKeeper funds from the Australian government were used by Hillsong to fund the purchase of festival hall.
While
at the same time, they were laying off people.
Yeah. And that's what the money was for, to maintain jobs.
And then
it's
classic
wrought song.
Oh wow, it's all quite. I remember a while ago you had a podcast and you were saying, what would we call it if we were telling people we were going to do this with the money and we did something else instead. And we're like, would that be described as fraud?
Well, and that's because, and this is the thing that kind of really did my head in, is Bobby holds this her just doing this whole relatable thing. I'm going to have this garage sale. I'm just like one of you. And it's just such a lie. It's
How would you say the church has reacted to these documents coming out?
I don't know about the church, but some rumors I heard sort of earlier today were that, in fact, obviously this is not true, that these documents were only tabled in Parliament because they're not true. Like do you know what I mean? They were sort of put through parliamentary privilege because obviously they're not true.
Is that what they're is?
Those are some of the rumors circulating, So it's just a case of, how many forensic accountants is it going to take to change a Hillsong? Because I tell you what, there will be, there are going to be accountants sifting through this for years to come. Sorry, go.
Well, I mean, there's lots of inter sort of incestuous loans as well, and a lot of things they have to. And then I did find something about there being like a global loss of the churches, like every Hillsong church is running at a loss, but I can't find it now. I've lost it. I don't know where it is.
I'm not sure. Laura, can I ask you to have a little look over there at 162? Because it's just 162. After that was 163, which is about the music that people love so much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is to do with worship pastors, isn't it? So 162, it says pastors or musicians. Hillsong employs on staff the celebrity songwriters, singers, and other musicians who write and produce all Hillsong's music. However, they are not employed as musicians. They are instead employed as pastors, meaning that they receive a substantial portion of their already generous salary tax-free. They are then given cool quasi-pastor operational job titles such as worship pastor, platform oversight, worship pastor, conferences and initiatives. This is my favorite one, I think. Spheres worship pastor. We love Spheres at Hillsong.
What's that? What does that mean?
Spheres worship pastor. I don't know.
Like, okay.
Worship pastor, training oversight, worship pastor, sisterhood oversight, pastor, music tours, or just music pastor.
Music pastor. And that's just a slap in the face to all the legit worship pastors. Sorry. Keep going. Yeah, go.
Oh, do you want me to do 163?
Oh, look at it.
The key question, is it fair for the Australian taxpayer to support the tax-exempt salary of pastor musicians who are also earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in music royalties? Do we know that they're earning hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in music royalties?
Keep going then, for example.
For example, it appears that one of Hillsong's music pastors earns $68,299 in salary from Hillsong, of which $41,737 is tax-free. At the same time, this same musician earned $1 million. Someone help me with this one. $390,724 in music royalties in just 1 year from writing hit worship songs for Hillsong. It is in 1 year. Wow. It is the pastor songwriter who receives the greatest portion of Hillsong's music royalties, not Hillsong Church. Again, is it fair for the Australian taxpayer that the tax-exempt charitable income earned by Hillsong International in Australia has been used to set up and operate world-class recording studios in Australia and overseas, which are then used to make the songwriter ridiculously wealthy? Oof.
Yeah, look, that's... And, during the pandemic, what happened to the live music and, the music industry in Australia? It wasn't supported. They weren't looked after. The community was not looked after. But, some people were still pumping out the hits.
It's
from
amazing.
their own studios in California.
However, these tax-free salary benefits aren't just restricted to celebrity musicians. It also applies to other, in quotes, pastors who actually just have normal 9-to-5 office jobs at Hillsong, like the head of film and TV, projects and events coordinator, communications projects manager, head of creative moments.
Ooh,
I've had a creative moment.
what's your creative moment?
Like, and I had one last week, but I want to be. Should I report to this person?
Yeah, I'm actually going to list myself as the head creative hospitality pastor for hotels, and then I can get tax-free on my income.
Creative moment sounds like a biscuit, though. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's what you make it.
Phil Dooley has
Own the
been
moment.
party to all of this misconduct. Sort of beating around the bush here. We're getting straight to the point. He's also been involved in this self-indulgent spending and private benefit, and still is. And I do a special shout out for the Dooley children. That they get to be a part of all this. They get to be complicit, sort of without
Darling.
any consent at all. Yeah.
57 goes in on Phil Dooley, actually. Says, the current Hillsong Global Senior Pastor, Phil Dooley. Now, obviously, he came in to take over because Brian was disgraced, and so he came in as like our new leading light. Was the founder and head pastor of Hillsong South Africa. Despite operating in a country experiencing significant poverty and disadvantage, Dooley also prescribes to a Hillsong culture focused on spending significant amounts of money on guest speaker honorariums, green room catering, entertainment, gift meals, and guest relations, in quotation marks, compared to their expenditure on programs to help people in need, volunteer development, or discipling new Christians. So I'm just wondering how much they've cleaned the board by bringing him in. Seems not very much.
Well, I mean, and he just said, like, the green room's shut, and yet.
And I think also there's some sort of international incident happening here, because all of the 50 tabs are kind of all about what was going on overseas. So they were loaning money. They lent money from the Australia entity to Hillsong Kyiv to purchase a building in Ukraine. But this is tax-free Australian dollars being used. And then they did a lot of stuff in America using Australian tax-free dollars. They've got their property owning sort of wing, which includes a penthouse apartment on the lake next to Hillsong's flagship Sydney Hills campus. This property is not used for public benefit, but rather for Hillsong's visiting VIP guests. I suppose to be tax-free, you have to show you have public benefit. Is that what's being said? Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess you have to. Yeah, I don't know what the criteria are for it, but it does seem like once, it's sort of like, once you've got one, sort of like the wives of Hillsong pastors, like once you've had one or two, you can have like a whole bunch of charities, I mean.
Of course.
And then you just kind of, one supports the other. Some of them simply exist to support the other charities and prop them up. They sort of breed like gremlins after midnight. Incredible. Did you not see Gremlins?
Why have I never heard of Shiloh before?
You have heard of Shiloh and Vivian and Knox. What are they called? I remember when they were something like that. Shiloh Nouveau, which means the new Messiah, actually. I think Shiloh means Messiah.
Oh.
Yeah, because, Brad and Angelina were normal.
I mean, I thought Shiloh was a place. Isn't it a place in the Bible? Is it Messiah? Shiloh.
What about Apple and Moses? Oh, no, we've got
See, I knew it. It was a city in Samaria. I'm so biblical.
What? Tell me. You are.
In the Hebrew Bible, it was a place. It's mentioned in the book of Joshua. When the Australians arrived in the land, they set up the tent of meeting there.
Okay.
And they have an annual dance of maidens in the vineyard. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's also the point where Eli was, who had his two sons. You know, when one of his sons died and he fell off a stool and like smacked his head. When young Samuel was there with Hannah, his mother. Sorry to be all biblical, but
No, don't. I mean, so we are at Hillsong, so if you could try and keep the Bible away, that would be preferable.
So I still think it was named after that Jack Russell dog, but you know.
No. Look, I remember when she was born. She was so special at the time. It was wonderful. I'm just pleased. Yeah, I'm pleased to see they've been keeping up with new idea and.
What do we think is our favorite highlight before?
Yeah, I think we should snip them up and put them all in like a hat, so that like the Melbourne Cup, like the sweeps there. Maybe maybe
Tag yourself. We could do tag yourself. Which one are you?
I honestly, I'm so upset that the sports betting companies aren't involved in this, because I would whack all these names right up and put odds next to them and kind of, I don't know, maximum, minimum kind of, you know what I mean? Community service. Are we going to do years, months? I mean, looks like a lot of jail time in those names. If there isn't, I'd like to know why. I'd really like to know why. But that's a bit depressing. Sorry, let's go back to Cancun.
We could all do with a trip to Cancun just to recover from reading through this.
I think that pastor's retreat in Greece sounded amazing. Yeah, that was mine. Actually, that's one of mine. I've always wanted to go to why Greece? I just, yeah. Sorry, lovely. I mean, Greece is lovely. It's just that not a lot of Australians get those trips to Greece. Those retreats. Have you been to Greece on retreat?
Absolutely not.
You're a lot closer. Why not?
I mean, I've been to Manchester.
And you went to Liverpool.
Yeah.
I remember when you went to Liverpool on your holidays?
That was a good one. I quite enjoyed that. We did a 2-night. It didn't cost 50 grand, however. I think I've got two. My favorites are Graham's World Tour.
Graham's Printer.
Graham's Printer, and my second favorite is the snarky comment about Joel and Carl Lentz used to be best friends.
Oh, that was mine.
Oh, sorry.
Really knows how to stick the knife in this whistleblower. Give that a little twist, yeah. Oh, yeah. And saying that Robert Ferguson is Brian's BFF.
Cool.
Big call, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to get a real head swell out of that, Robert Ferguson.
It's like the Bible in contemporary language. The message.
It's like the sacrifices they brought to the altar where they're like 1 teaspoon of silver, 1 sheep, 1 cow, 10,000, 20,000, 7 million.
It is a biblical spectacular, isn't it? It really is. All right. What else? Anyone? Should we?
I've got to go to Soho House for a little relax, so I might.
Yes, actually, from what I understand, sorry, it would be remiss of me not to throw this in. They are members of health clubs that cost about $5,000 a year. Brian, Bobby, George as well, I believe, just to kind of, you don't want to let your fillers go to, when you're overseas. You have to keep them up to date and Botox and that, and that's what that's all about. It's not so much about health.
Absolutely, and you need to have your vitamin IV drips and so on.
Yeah.
Know what you need.
Oh dear, what a slap in the face to so many people's hopes and dreams, hey? And good faith.
See,
Yeah.
this is like, you know how a lot of us complain about not being able to afford rent and fuel and food, and because of tithing and love offerings and all of that.
Hmm.
For these kinds of people, it's a dream come true, like people on this level of wealth, to be able to reduce their taxable incomes with charitable giving. It's a whole nother world.
The cost of living crisis is around the world. I do like to check in on the UK. As you know, I like to read The Sun frequently and keep up to date with the common English person, the man on the street. Is that you, Draps? Are you the common English chap?
Well, we're struggling with our energy bills. I know people who are literally going cold because they can't pay for their energy, and so they're just putting on more coats and more blankets. But
Okay.
I do note that Atlanta in their first year they only had 5 staff members, but they spent 18,000 on a picnic.
That's not funny. I'm sorry. I was from
So
what was that? What one picnic? Are we talking like?
So never mind the energy bills, darlings. We have triangle sandwiches, 18 kg block. And here's another snark for you. £0 or $0 was allocated to city care program and 0 to Bibles and literature.
Wow. You could blow me down with a feather there, I tell you what. I thought so. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I keep banging the phone. Oh, sorry.
God's love is free, but life insurance in the United States isn't. That was 29K.
Every country. Do they have one in Australia, one in America, one in South
Oops.
Africa in case they visit, one in Guatemala?
There's no church in Guatemala. I'm not sure.
I have heard that, yeah.
Yeah. But hey, why not have a life insurance policy there?
You know what
as
they
well?
do have in Guatemala? An honorarium.
Oh, do you know what I think? That they might those premiums on that life insurance policy situation might be going up shortly, if you know what I'm after people hear what's been going on.
Just from the stress. I tell you what, I'd just like to refer everybody to 151 and to go back to what the New South Wales Police David Elliott called Brian Houston. And we'll call that a day.
Yeah, ungrateful doesn't really sum it up. Hey, he's not. Might need to take some time to stop and smell the roses, Brian, instead of spending $17,000 on. Did you find the skateboards?
37,000 on the roses. 37.
Oh, yeah, the skateboards.
Laura, please, before we
Where
let
are
this
they?
thing go, and I think there's content in here that just makes you want to sleep with it under the pillow. But I think.
Where are the skateboards?
Do the skateboards exist?
Well, I mean,
They're like the weapons of mass destruction.
I'm just hang on. Oh no. Okay. I don't know. Where was the skateboards?
I'm looking. I'm skimming through.
I feel like the skateboards must be something to do with Graham or Brian or someone who's a cool youth pastor.
Or Small Fry Phil with his Live the Adventure.
Not Small Fry Phil.
Oh, can you imagine the Big Fry then? Big Fry Brian.
I think they Airbnb Brian and Bobby. That's
Oh, if that's immense, then
I just saw something about Brian and Bobby's BFF gang. It's under 173, tab 115. I don't know if this is interesting. It just says that tab 115 outlines a great deal, in great detail, those pastors around the world who have benefited from this honorarium scam. I think we went through this, and they're calling it the Hillsong Family Club, or Brian and Bobby's
No.
BFF gang, or Hillsong's
I
own
didn't-
pastors such as Phil Dooley, Mark Wilkerson, Carl Lentz, Ben Houston, Chris Mendez.
we're in the BFF gang of leaving Hillsong.
yeah, but
We don't
don't
get to
get
fly
any
business
honorary-
class.
celebrity pastors who participate in this speaker circuit scam fly business class around the world, paid for by the host church congregation. It's not only the Houston family, other participants in this scam include Steve Dixon. There's Robert Ferguson. Hi, Fergo. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Steve Dixon's just a Brisbane guy. I thought he'd moved on up in the ranks. Donna Crouch, your youth leader, and Laura and Peter are, of course, Brian's daughter and son-in-law, and Joel and Julia are Bell. Hey, special shout out. Special shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out. We did. It's just. Oh, there's the BFF gang. I see. Oh, Wilkerson is that Rich Wilkerson's?
Oh, can it please be?
Is that Rich Wilkerson who was like? Didn't he marry Justin Bieber and Hailey? And
Oh, Rich Wilkerson Jr.
okay, is that related to Mark Wilkerson? Because I think the Family Club. This is just like Charles Manson.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
actually.
Like it really is.
Failed musician. Just saying.
Just you know, can you blame a person? And then he came across a guy.
Group of
George-
vulnerable people.
It seems like George Agadanian has hands in lots of pies. I don't know, because they,
Oh,
as
yeah.
the director of the Hillsong Global Board and the Hillsong Australia Board, he was also a responsible person for Hillsong France, Hillsong Africa, Foundation Trust, Hillsong Barcelona, Hillsong Brazil, Hillsong Central West, Hillsong Church Germany, Hillsong Church Israel, Hillsong Church London, Hillsong Kiev, Hillsong Moscow, Hillsong Norway, Hillsong Portugal, Hillsong Netherlands, and Hillsong, well, a different name for it, but South Africa.
I've got to tell you, like, there are people really at home who have been wearing the, you know, George's my number one enemy t-shirt, you know, really been cheering on for George to be brought out into the light and I guess stoned to death in the main square would be the kind of
Wow.
closest emotion that I've received from people about George. And, you know, he's the guy that wrote my batting letters. He's the general manager. He's George. But yeah,
George.
he's
In the park with George on an 18,000 picnic.
I don't know that George picnics. He's not that kind of guy. He's not one of those big CEOs. Do you have like the CEO sleep out where like you don't have CEO sleep out where like they go homeless for one night as a CEO to see what it's like and stuff and just show
Oh, yeah.
George
Maybe
you totally I want to sit
Undercover boss at Hillsong College.
down-
Car park duty.
Get him on that vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
like reverse roles and stuff for the J. That would make like some kind of fun Freaky Friday kind of thing. Yeah. Look, there's going to be a lot of seasons and spin-offs out of this show. And you know, it's like a snake pit, so they're all intertwined, and there's just so much more.
Can I just say, like, I feel like the credits are rolling finally, like, on my whole kind of like childhood, upbringing, adolescence, because over the years there's just been so many conversations about where, not just with Hillsong, but just in churches in general, about where all the money goes. And it's just too, like, this is so late. Like, it's great that this is happening, but it's sort of I don't know.
It's great, but it's thorough. It's detailed. And I guess there's other churches that have been through things like this, but I wonder if such a well-known brand, I don't know how many have actually had this level of investigation and exposure or whatever it's called. So
it's the devil attacking them, Tanya.
look, if this is not a spiritual attack, what is? Look at the lengths the devil is prepared to go to to make these people look bad.
Would you say the devil was an accountant? The devil is in the detail.
The devil went down to Cancun. I don't know about Georgia.
No, but for real, you have to laugh. Otherwise, you would just have to not.
You know,
understand
and
what's going on.
it's we don't get the chance to go up to them and just clutch our bellies and point, and do you know what I mean? But we're laughing at you, Brian and Bobby. We're not laughing with you. So we are, laughing maniacally as we await your punishment, every single person on that list. That's it from me.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
You both.
Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye, Tanya. Bye, Drop.
Bye.
Thank you for being a part of our chat. That was so fun. We had so much fun, and I really hope you did too. It was a long one. It was kind of hard to let go, because there is more and the best is yet to come out. I hope you had a good time with us. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you liked it, do consider supporting this work at Leaving Hillsong at Patreon or PayPal. And share and like and subscribe and do all those things. And make sure you be good to yourself before small fry Phil comes for you. That was the most amount of kind I could do last week. But be kind to yourselves. And keep laughing while you keep leaving Hillsong. We'll talk soon. Bye.